Hello. Today we're going to go over the Exercise 210 CLC program design. Everyone that is involved is Joshua, Rob Blero, Caden Kocher, Sophia Lintern, Carson Gompert, Carmela Pine, and Shelby Hagedorn. So to begin, we're going to start with an introduction. So basically, what this overall PowerPoint is going to go over is a program designed to support overall health goals. Just for me as the client, I'm getting tested on. So we're also going to go over a focus on shoulder rehab, aerobic conditioning, and strength, as well as a motivational interview asking very direct questions to really get a good fundamental baseline and understanding of what kind of exercise program is best for the client, which is me. There is a limitation, which is left shoulder mobility. So we'll go into depth on how that is affected in the exercise program. And we're going to go through a goal to safely progress to functional strength training.
Hi, I'm Shelby, and I did the motivational interview, and I met with Caden to get a better understanding of his current habits, goals, and challenges he's been facing. I started by asking him what changes he's been thinking about making in his health routine, and he said he wants to start by adding more compound lifts and also get more cardio in to just build an overall strength and aerobic fitness. Then I asked what his ideal weekly routine looks like when he feels his best. He explained that he likes working out around 3 to 4 times a week with resistance training and then mixing in some cardio. He also mentioned that balancing rest and good nutrition really helps him feel great. Next, I asked what motivates him to stay on track and what makes it harder. He said that having a supportive community and his faith keeps him motivated, but what makes it tough is his shoulder injury and being and feeling like his progress is not as great compared to his friends. I also asked about his past experiences that showed he can make a positive change. And he told me about losing a lot of weight in high school and how seeing that transformation helped keep him motivated. Sports also played a big role in building confidence. Next, I asked about past injuries or challenges, and he shared that he had an inguinal hernia that required surgery and a long recovery. And now his shoulder injury has been the biggest obstacle affecting both sports and daily life. For the last question, I asked what his number one priority is right now. And he said rehabbing his shoulder so that he can build a solid foundation to getting back into pressing, pulling, and compound lifts. His second priority was improving cardio for a better overall function. Overall, the interview went really well, and it gave us a good understanding of where he's at and what he wants to focus on moving forward.
All right. Hi, my name is Sophia Lintern, and I conducted the testing and measures. So the first test we did was the Apley Scratch test, which was measuring functional internal rotation and external rotation, along with scapular mobility to determine any muscle imbalances. The rationale for this is he said he had tight scalenes in the motivational interview, and this was reducing his overhead mobility and upward rotation of his scapula. And then after doing this test, we found he had a positive result because he had less range of motion in his left shoulder. The second test we did was a shoulder internal rotation manual muscle test, which evaluated the pec major, subscapularis, and the lats, all of which are very important for pressing motions, which he also said he wanted to return to being able to do. And the rationale for this is that internal rotation strength is a big stabilizer of the humeral head during resistance training and load. And then mobility is needed for the concentric action of push-ups, which he wanted to return to as well. For this, he got a 5 on a scale of 0 to 5, meaning he moved through the entire range of motion, didn't have any pain during this, and could resist full oppositional resistance that I was applying. And then another manual muscle test I did was scapular retraction, which is looking at the middle trap and rhomboids, which are very important for shoulder stability and retraction. Our rationale here was that scapular stability is very important for the bench press, which is a pressing motion he wanted to return to, and then any other upper body gym activities he wants to do. And same thing, or the same scale as the other manual muscle test was graded on, and he got a 5 on this as well. And then I also did the evaluation. So here on the right, you can see the Apley Scratch test that he did. Notice that the left shoulder in the upper picture has a lot less range of motion than the right shoulder on the bottom picture, because his fingertips are much further apart. So I determined that his main limitation was impaired shoulder mobility, not necessarily that he was lacking strength. Once again, for the Apley scratch test, he had less mobility in that left arm, so it was a functional asymmetry. For the shoulder internal rotation and then also scapular retraction, he had full strength and range of motion on the left side in question. And our focus in the future was to increase shoulder mobility and then also improve functional movement patterns and rid of pain during pressing movements.
Hi, my name's Carmela Pine. I did the SMART goals. So for our first goal, we said within 6 weeks, Caden will reduce fingertip gap on his left Apley scratch test by at least 30% to improve shoulder mobility and safely begin reintroducing pressing movements. This was his number one priority, and the Apley test shows a big left side mobility asymmetry. His strength is fine, but the mobility is what limits pressing and overhead movement. So by improving internal rotation, external rotation, and scapular mechanics, reducing discomfort and prepares him for compound lifts. Our second goal, over the next 4 weeks, Caden will complete 3 cardio sessions per week, each 20 to 30 minutes at moderate intensity to improve aerobic fitness and establish consistent weekly habits. The rationale for this was cardio was his second priority. He feels his best when training 3 times a week and adding cardio or HIIT. Cardio supports sleep, recovery, overall health, and long-term exercise consistency. PAR-Q shows no medical restrictions. Our third goal is in 5 weeks, Caden will perform 3 sets of 12 controlled scapular retraction and depression reps with proper form and no more than 2 out of 10 pain, demonstrating readiness for bench and overhead pressing. The rationale, stable scapular control is required before returning to pressing, reducing pain and improving control, lower risk and re-injury. This progression supports safe reintroduction of bench and overhead movements.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Roblero, and I did the program design. And based off of the other past experiences that I've had with other clients that dealt with shoulder instability, and the main focus for Caden being mobility, I used some of my expertise for that. So I designed a program of 7 exercises. The first one was going to be scapular controlled articular rotations, which he would be performing 2 sets of 5 slow reps per side. And then one of them that's gonna be demonstrated in the next slide is a doorway pec stretch. He was gonna hold that for 30 to 45 seconds 2 times, and then some stretches for his scaling muscle and his upper traps, same 2 times 30 seconds per side. And then another good one is external rotations and internal rotation walkout. So he'll be isometrically holding it with a band, just walking out, and 4-way shoulder isometric holds. So the main ones are isometric holds, just because there's evidence-based practice or notes that go over scapular training improves shoulder mechanics and reduces symptoms, dysfunctions. Rotator cuff isometrics enhance activation and support safe overhead motion. And again, like the main focus is mobility to activation to stability to functional integration. And the last exercise was a serratus anterior wall slides with a lift off. So for this one, he would just be with the wall going up like that. So again, the main focus for this program was to regain mobility so he could get back to his goals of, doing more resistance training like bench pressing.
Hi, my name is Carson, and I was in charge of the implementation. I first explained to the client Caden why the doorway stretch we are doing will be beneficial. And then I coached Caden and gave him cues that would be beneficial to be able to perform the exercise. The goal for the day was to focus on mobility that would ultimately reduce left shoulder pain.
All right. Today I was demonstrating to my client Caden here how to do the whole way door stretch. Today we're going to work on some mobility with his left shoulder.
you want to get behind the door, put your hand up like you're waving to someone. Make sure you got it straight back. Once you get your hand on the door, you're going to take a little step forward until you feel a slight stretch. Hold it for 30 to 45 seconds. Make sure that back is straight. 30 to 45 seconds. I'm going to do this 2 times. Perfect. Let me see it.
Sweet. Ready to stretch my chest out.
Should feel it in the upper chest.
Oh yeah, what? Oh, back straight.
Stretch. Stretch that back straight.
Yes, sir.
Good.
That's nice. That's some tight pecs.
Yeah, you'll be feeling better.
All right. What's that, 30 seconds? Okay. Awesome. So to conclude, over this presentation, we went over a structured approach to improve my shoulder function and fitness. We hit multiple targets that included shoulder mobility, scapular stability, and aerobic conditioning. We went over SMART goals to ensure measurable progress and to make sure that I can just become the best version of myself possible while adhering to the exercises prescribed and to just continue that development of continual muscle growth and strength that I desired. And then we also went over gradual functional improvements to support long-term health and all to ultimately prepare me, Caden, for a safe return to compound lifts and consistent exercises so I can look like the guy in the top right of this PowerPoint. So that's it. We have references right after this, and these are the references. And thank you so much for watching.